All right, moving along. So in this, remember last week I ran out of time, so I was only able to post one lecture. So this week we're making up for it. We're not doing 3, we're only doing 2, but we've had to adjust the schedule a little bit. So we're going to do 17 and 18 this chapter. And this chapter we're going to meet another set of weak roots. It's natural. The first thing we're going to do in this lecture is review our strong root paradigms, and then we'll review the weak roots we've learned up to this point. Then we'll talk about these 2 weaknesses, the first yod and first aleph. Then we'll do vocab and practice. So just to review our strong roots, we've talked about perfect and imperfect, 2 different conjugations. Remember, conjugation changes the use, whereas the pattern is going to change the meaning, but you're not going to hit that until next semester. Over here I have the person, gender, and numbers. So that's like third masculine singular, third feminine singular, all the way down. So to start with perfect, we have katal, which is our lexical form. This kametz, patak, that's what we're going to find whenever we learn a new verb, that form. Katala, with that kametz he ending. Katalta, with that tav kametz ending. Katalt, with the tav shava. Katalti. Katalu, with the shurek ending. And in the perfect, this is a third common plural. There's no distinction between masculine and feminine. Kataltem, katalten, those are our second person plural forms, masculine and feminine respectively. Katalnu. So you can see here that in all of these forms they get a suffix except for the 3ms, and that's why the perfect conjugation is sometimes called the suffixed conjugation. And the consonantal elements of these are not going to change. And we've seen how sometimes you might lose the dagesh here in the tav, but these consonantally they stay the same. And so being able to spot these on any word, you can start to parse it. For our imperfect, which is our non-completed action conjugation, we get yiktol, tiktol, tiktol, tiktali, ektol, yiktalu, tiktolna, tiktalu, tiktolna, niktol. So again, all of these have a prefix, so that's why this has been called the prefixed conjugation. Okay, yods are dealing with third masculines, and then we have tavs, our third feminines and second persons, and then our first commons just do their own thing with that aleph and the nun. We still also have some suffixes here, the hirek yod in the second feminine singular, the shurek, the na, the shurek, the na, but it's the prefixes that win the day here on the imperfect conjugation. So you've gotten this down. Even if I continue to mess up our second feminine singular and try and put a yod there, I think I'm finally starting to catch it, although I surprise myself in my fallibility. So again, those are kind of old hat by now that you've gotten those down. I think just important running through this again, reminding yourself, okay, going back to basics, especially in all the complexity where they're adding on with weak roots. Okay, this is the strong paradigms, and they're going to be very prominent as you continue your study of Hebrew. So to review weak roots, remember we classify the weak roots based on their position and their kind of weakness. That position is based on the first, second, or third root, where the root consonant we're talking about is. And again, another way of talking about this is using the verb pa'al. So whereas we're going to say one guttural, other grammars are going to say a pay guttural, things like that. And whereas we're going to say, well, we haven't talked about second anything, or a third hey, they would call it a lamed hey. Kind of confusing, but. So we've learned 4 so far. We've talked about 1 gutturals, third alephs, first nuns, and third heys, which we'll get down here. And I just wanted to kind of go over these. This is a little abstract. I'm just reminding you of the rules, but our first gutturals, remember we guttural rules shifted vowels. So in the perfect, those few times in the second masculine, second feminine plural, where you get a vocal shava, those become hatef pataks. In the imperfect conjugation, that's where our rules really start to make an impact. So the prefix vowel becomes a patak, and then the first root vowel, that is the vowel that's under the first root consonant, becomes a hatef patak, except for these 3 forms where it just becomes a patak. But being able to spot that and say, okay, there's a patak under my prefix because I'm dealing with a one guttural, and it doesn't have a shava because it doesn't like shavas. It prefers the chatefs. Our third alefs weren't too big of a headache. The real issue was the alef in that third position quiesces and causes some vowel changes. So in the perfect, that third alef is not going to take a shava. For example, at the end of the root here in the second masculine and second feminine singular, where you'd get, you get katalta. Normally under that lamed, there would be a shava, but the aleph just acts like it's not there, and so there's no shava there. And then it lengthens the preceding vowel to a kametz, and suffixes lose the weak dagesh that they had. So not a ton, although we pointed out that the hardest was the second feminine singular form, where you just get this tav without anything under it. So remembering that's a second feminine singular, that's probably the hardest. In the imperfect, as a guttural, it forces the theme vowel to be a patak, but then the quiesced aleph causes that to lengthen to a kametz. And so instead of the yiktol, the cholim you'd have over the second root consonant, it wants an A-class vowel, but then it quiesces, and so we get this aleph most of the time, except for the tiktolna forms, the third feminine plural and the second feminine plural. There, the theme vowel is a sagol for some reason. So we get tim tsena. Our first noon, the noon assimilates when followed by the sound of a non-guttural consonant. In the perfect, no change, yay! It's like a strong thing, yay! In the imperfect, the noon assimilates to be a strong dagesh and a second root consonant in every single form. So this is one of our headache forms because we lose one of our root consonants, and those are always very hard to figure out. And so having that list of troubled children or problem children and saying, okay, is this a first noon? Then I got to look for a dagesh, or we'll see, is it a third hey? Those are the first of a few of the problem children that we're going to have. So in the imperfect, in every single form, the noon assimilates, and just as a reminder that root lakach follows this same paradigm in the imperfect. So the lamed is going to assimilate in every form. The third hey, the final hey of that third hey is a vowel. It's standing in for a shy yod. In the perfect, any suffixes that are vowels cause the hey to disappear. So the third feminine singular, which is bringing the kametz hey ending onto our root, the hey actually disappears. It hardens to be a tav to take it. In the third common plural, the hey completely disappears. Instead of gala or galahu with the hey, we just get galu there. So I'll actually write that out so you're not. So we just get galu instead of having the hey. So again, having to figure out where that third root went. You have to use some detective skills. Those suffixes that begin with a consonant, for example, the second masculine singular, feminine singular, all these, they bring the yod back. So the yod shows up to impress the consonant. And so you get galita. So the yod does come back there. And just remembering that yod is, we know this root with a hey. That's what we have to use for our memory jogger there. In the imperfect conjugation, the vowel hey shows up as a segol hey. So we get yigle. So we get the segol hey with the third hey, and that's just the way that third heys operate in the imperfect to show that they're a vowel. Similarly to the perfect, any suffix that begins with a vowel causes the hey to disappear. So the hirek yod of the second feminine singular, or the shurek of the third masculine and second masculine plural, the hey will just go, and we won't have any evidence of it having been there. Whereas in the third feminine plural and the second feminine plural, which has that na ending, the noon kametz hey, because it's a suffix, that's going to bring the yod out of hiding. So just remember those these features as you're parsing a verb, either in the parsing charts that Fuchado has or the parsing charts that I have on your worksheets and quizzes. Just pause and say, okay, this form is different. Here's how it's different. Here's why it's different. And even if it involves a few extra minutes, and that's all we're talking about. We're talking about a few extra minutes, kind of look back at a few of these paradigms and say, okay, there's the difference. Here's why it's different. Building up those skills will be very, very helpful as we continue in our course. So in this chapter, you're going to learn 2 more weak roots having to do with first yod and first aleph. And both of them, we're only going to deal with the imperfect because they don't deviate from the standard perfect paradigm. So again, yay, we're not having to deal with a ton more. But we're going to start with our first yods. There's actually 2 kinds of these first yods. The first kind are what a true first yods, that is, their first root consonant actually is and was and always has been a yod. And then there's those that were once first root vavs, we think. And so they operate differently. For our first yods, and you can go ahead and start saying that, and just saying, oh, I'm learning how to parse first yods. Here are the changes. The shava under the first root consonant disappears and makes a hirek yod with the prefixed hirek. And then the theme vowel becomes a patak. So here are those changes for us. So instead of yiktol, we get yitav. So you can see how we don't have the shava here, and we get this hirek yod that just kind of lengthens the hirek sound, yitav, and this patak becomes the theme vowel. We get titav instead of tiktol for both third feminine singular and second masculine singular. Instead of tiktali, we get T to V, T to V. So this would be you are good, this second feminine singular you are good, or you will be good, or you are being good, something like that. Ektol is our first common singular in our strong paradigm, but with the first yod it becomes etav. So again, we've got that no shava here, so we get this hirek yod, and then the patak theme vowel. Instead of yiktalu, we get yitavu. Tiktolna is the strong root, but with this weak root, we get titavna. And then titavu, titavna, and nitav. Okay, notice again, we still have our prefixes there. We still have the suffixes that we've learned. So looking at one of these, we still can parse it. We can still say, okay, yes, I know that this is a second feminine singular. It's got a tav prefix and a hirek yod suffix. I know that this is a third masculine plural because it's got a yod prefix and a shurek suffix. So we can still do that, and then it's just figuring out, what am I doing with this this thing in the middle? And thankfully, we're not losing a consonant here, and so it's easier to get back to our memorized vocab. Although I understand if you're a little snarky at the moment, you're like, well, it's easy for you to say that. You've already got it memorized. But at least you know that for which you're looking. So this yatav, we still have our 3 root consonants here. So not super hard, not super bad compared to those that in which we lose a consonant. We just lose the shava under the first root consonant, and the theme vowel changes to become a patak. So if we are parsing these in one of our online conversations, and you've got this, and you parse it beautifully as a cal imperfect third feminine plural from yatav, and then I say, okay, what's different and why? Then you say, okay, there's no shava here, and it's a patak theme vowel because it's the first yod. And I will say, well done, amazing, good job. All right, so that's the first kind of first yod weaknesses. The second root was once a vav, first vav, and so instead of first yod yods, these are first yod vavs. In these forms of first yod verbs, as I said, yod is originally vav, and later forms that we're going to learn, the vav will reappear. But the cal imperfect, the first root yod just disappears. So you can add these to your trouble children list. So we've had our first noon, which assimilates, and so we're looking for a dagish. our third hays, which disappear and leave largely no trace, or maybe we get a yod, maybe. And then our first yod vavs. The giveaway for us is going to be the tseres everywhere, okay? So the vowel end of the prefix is lengthened to a tsere, and the theme vowel is a tsere. So instead of yiktol, we get yeshev. So this is yashav, to sit, dwell, or inhabit. This is he will sit, yeshev. Instead of tiktol, we get teshev. So that is she will sit or is sitting. Instead of tiktol, we get teshev. Instead of tiktali, we get teshevi, teshevi. I'm pretty sure there's supposed to be a dogish there. There is. My goodness. I apologize. Come on. Boom. All right. Great. I'm going to keep it in the Hebrew mode. So we get teshevi. Instead of ektol, we get eshev. Instead of yiktalu, we get yeshevu. Instead of tiktolna, we get teshavna. Instead of tiktalu, we get, that's supposed to be a tav. See, I even put the dogish there on that one. My goodness. There we go. Teshavu. Instead of tiktolna, we get teshavna. Instead of niktol, we get neshev. So again, the tsere, all the tseres, the double tseres, that's our clue at this point regarding this weak root. That the first yod has disappeared. It was originally a vav. Evidently, the vav's disappeared as well. People are just walking out all over the place, but the tseres become our clue for these first yod vavs to get us back to a yod, because that's the form that we've memorized, right? We've memorized yashav, to sit, dwell, or inhabit. So this is our developing problem children list. Our first noons assimilate, so we're looking for a dagesh. Our third hays disappear. Sometimes a yod shows up, otherwise we might just have to say, maybe it's a third hay. For example, if you're dealing with that second feminine singular imperfect, or third common plural and the perfect, or something like that, first yod vavs is going to be all the tseres all over the place. It's going to point us to these first yod weaknesses. Now again, there are some of our friends who are verbs who like to just follow different rules than we expect. And so we've met lakach, who does that, follows the first noon paradigm. Well, our friend halak, to walk, go, or come, follows the first yod vav paradigm in the imperfect. So we get yelech, and telech, and telech, and telechi, and elech, and yelechu, and telachna, and telechu, and telachna, and nelech. And there's a lot of people walking and going and coming different places in the Old Testament. So this is a very common form that we're going to need to know. And so having that logged in our mind that this form with the lamed kaf, this is halach in the imperfect, following this first yod vav paradigm. And then there's that small box on page 109 in which Utada gives you some other information. He talks about Natan. It has a tsere theme vowel as well. And because it's the first noon, we've got some assimilation that's going on. We've already covered that. We've at least talked about it. The third thing, those verbs that have a third tav, the root will often assimilate in any suffix that begins with a tav. And so here's, for example, karata. So this is our cow perfect second masculine singular from karat, and we just have a strong dagesh here. It's the doubling of the tav, whereas normally you'd have a tav with silent shava and then a tav with the kamets. At this point, it's just doubled up, and we still get the same pronunciation because it's a strong dagesh, so it doubles the tav sound in our mouth. Karata, karata, karatata. Similarly, we get karat, and then karati for our first common singular. So just yeah, we haven't learned a ton of third tavs, but taking some time, and this is why we spent time talking about how to figure out if a shava is vocal or silent, and particularly as a dagesh, is it strong or weak? Remember, if it's preceded by a vowel, vowels invigorate, dageshes, so they make a strong vowel, a strong dagesh, whereas consonants are kryptonite, and so they make a weak kryptonite. They make a weak dagesh. So, knowing that, and then doing the detective work, okay, why would I have two tabs here? Aha, it's from karat. Okay. Alright, for our first Alef verbs, there are only 5 first Alef verbs that do not follow the standard one guttural paradigm. Unfortunately, some of these are among the more common verbs in the Old Testament, particularly this one, amar, to speak. A lot of people speak in the Old Testament. Here are the 3 changes that happen. This first Alef is silent, it takes no shavah. And so the prefix al changes to a cholam, just for funsies. And the theme vowel is a patak. And we've seen that happen where different changes for some reason result in a patak theme vowel. And so instead of yik tol, we get yomar. And then we get tomar and tomar and tomari and omar. You can see here that this Alef is actually the Alef of the prefix. The first Alef has gone away, taken a vacation, quiesced away. And we get yomaru and tomarna, tomaru, tomarna, and nomar. Those are baseball fans. You can remember Nomar Garciaparra. Anyway, so the good thing about this form is we don't lose any consonants except for here, and that consonant is always there. Figuring out or remembering that this is a cal imperfect first common singular, there's the trick. As far as weak roots go, we're not losing a consonant like our first yod vavs or our third hays or our first noons. We're just spotting vowel changes. And so again, as you go through the exercise, so for example on page 111, that practice box A focusing on the weak roots, right on the side, this is this kind of weakness, circle the difference, and just articulate it out loud. This is the difference. This is why it's different. This is why it's different. And that is going to help you immensely as you continue to study. So for example, if you get tomarna, saying, hey, it's a cal, imperfect, third feminine plural, and second feminine plural, because remember, they're the same form. And then say, okay, what's different? Okay, I don't have a shavah here. I have a cholam, and I have a patak, where I would expect a hirek, a shavah, and a cholam. And why is that difference? Oh, because it's the first Alef. Okay, great. Again, there are only 5 verbs that follow this paradigm. They are amar, to speak, achal, to eat, avad, to perish, ava, to want or be willing, and afa, to bake. And so Furtado gives us this mnemonic. An old king said, amar, I will certainly perish, avad, if I am not willing, ava, to eat, achal, this cake which my wife has baked, afa, for me. Now, that's not like a particularly catchy mnemonic, but if you want to carry that story around in your back pocket, you can. And it'll include all those. All right, let's do some vocab here. No, stop doing that. We get goy, which means Gentile or nation. The vast majority of the time, this is referring to non-Israelite nations in the Old Testament. Dam is blood. Har is mountain or hill country. Yam is sea. Did you not have that before? Huh. I think I talked about that the last lecture, and I thought you had Yam. So Yam is sea. Tzava is army. So the Lord Tzavaot is the Lord of armies, the Lord of hosts. It comes from this root there. Ruach is spirit, and remember this patak is supposed to be over a little bit. It's called a furtive patak, so it makes you say it before you get to the chacha. So it's ruach, and this is a feminine singular noun. Avad is to perish. Ava is to want or be willing, and I remember this as like Ivan to do that. Ivan to do that. I don't know. That helps me remember it. Chaya is to be or to happen, to be or to happen. So the divine name comes from this form, although people debate what exactly it means. But Chaya, to be or to happen. And then Chaya is to be alive or to live. And if you remember the adjective chai, it came from chaya, remember? So chaya related to chai. I think maybe it's a little cruel that Furtado gives both of these, which are so similar, chaya and chaya. But already having learned chai, hopefully that'll help you to differentiate chaya, to be alive or living, from haya, which means to be or to happen. And again, in the English language, we expect this verb to show up a lot because we use to be a lot, but not so much in the Hebrew. In fact, when it does show up in this form, it's saying something. It's got significant. So, all right, let's do 4 practice sentences here. Tishmeru et chol chatorah chazot asher natati Anochi bayadchem. Sorry, I need to fix one thing before it gets embarrassing. There we go. Bayadchem. All right. So tishmeru. Oh no. I had it right. Man, doubting myself here. All these typos. Great. Okay. Cool. Highlight again. Act like nothing happened. Tishmeru is what? Our cal imperfect. Second, masculine, plural form, right? From shamar. It means you are or will guard. Okay, so we've found our verb. Now we've found our definite direct object marker. That is, everything before this is the subject. Everything after this is the direct object or the indirect object, all right? So we don't have any further specified subject. So we're good. The subject is coming from this verb, you will guard. Et, definite direct object marker. Kol, remember this is a chametz hatuf. Kol chatorah. So this is all. Chatorah is the Torah or the law. I guess we can use that. Or instruction is better. Instruction, teaching, all those things. Chazot. Chazot. This is an attributive use of this demonstrative adjective. So all this law. So you will guard or keep all this law. Asher. So we're paused for more information. Which, because it's modifying all this law, it's an impersonal thing. So we have which. Natati. So this is our cal perfect first common singular from Natan. You might say, well, where's my noon if this is Natan? Oh, it's in the strong dagesh here. So we have a dagesh. It's preceded by a vowel. It's a strong dagesh. And so it's hiding something in there. Is it hiding another tav? Nope, it's a noon from Natan. So this is I gave. And here we actually get some more help. Anochi is that personal pronoun for I. So we're going to make it kind of emphatic. I myself gave. The preposition means in. Yad is hand. Chem is our second masculine plural possessive suffix, your. So in your hand. So this would be, you will guard all of this law which I myself gave you or gave into your hand. Yeah, great. Number 2, nikach et zevah ha'am hechazak hazeh el ocholenu. All right, nikach is, here we have this noon prefix. We've got this here. What kind of dagesh is it? Oh, it's a strong dagesh preceded by a vowel. Why would we have a strong dagesh? Is it a first noon? Do I know a nakhak? No, but I know a lakhak. Yay! That's what this is. So cal imperfect, first common plural. We will take, or are taking, or seizing, or something like that. Et. So here we have the subject. Everything after this is the predicate, the object, the direct object, things like that. Et zevach is gold. Now, first of all, we see that there's a shavah here. Instead of zachav, we get zehav. So that tells us this is a construct already. But also the fact that this is an indefinite noun with a definite direct object marker probably points me to it being in a definite construct relationship, construct phrase. So cha'am is the people. so the gold of the people, or the people's gold. And then he chazak, this is chazak, to be strong, with a definite article on it. We get this segol because anytime a definite article wants to go on a word, a lot of times with a chet, it just takes a segol. So we get strong. Now we have to figure out, what is it referring to? Is it referring to people or gold? Well, both of those are masculine and singular, so it can be either. But it just makes more sense to refer to a people as strong than it does to refer to gold as strong. So I'm going to go with that. And then we get chazeh, chazeh. So this is our near demonstrative pronoun, masculine and singular. It's definite. It's agreeing with this phrase here. So this strong people's gold. So we will take this strong people's gold, or the gold of this strong people. El means to or toward. I shouldn't do that. I've been using that with the relative pronoun. But we can maybe let us know that this is a preposition, and so now we're getting into our indirect object. El is to or toward, and then this is ocholenu, ocholenu. This is a kametz chatuf, and this is a chatef kametz here. And this comes from the noun ochel, 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 which means a tent. Enu is our. That's our first common plural possessive suffix, right? So this is our tent. This is two. So we are taking the gold of this strong people to our tent. Third example here. Yireu, 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 avdei, malkechem, malkechem, hachachamim, clears that throat, et Adonai. Here's our verb. So here's our definite direct object marker. So this here is our subject. And it's going to be likely a single phrase, a single syntactical unit functioning as the subject of this verb. The only time that might be different is if you have a vav conjunction that's putting a few subjects together to form the subject of the verb. But here we have the verb yireu, yireu. So it's different. I see that it's got a yod prefix and a shuric suffix. So that's a cal, imperfect, third masculine plural ending. So I've isolated my prefix and suffix. Now I get this. And I get yare, yara, yare, yare is to fear or be afraid. So it's third masculine plural, so it would be they will fear. They will fear. Avdei, we got a serayod here. That's masculine plural construct form. So we know this is of from avad, or eved, servant. And then we remember that it's masculine plural. So it's servants of malkechem. 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 Okay, so we can isolate this suffix. This is a possessive suffix. It's second masculine plural. Possessive suffix means your. And then we get mem lamed kaf, melech, king. So we have servants of your king, they will fear. But then we've got this word, ha-chachamim, ha-chachamim. So here we have a definite article, here we have a masculine plural ending. It's an adjective, right? From chacham, to be wise. So now we have to figure out, so this is wise. Well, what is it referring to? So we need a masculine plural definite noun to connect this to. Malek here, or malkechem, is definite because it's got this possessive ending. However, it's not masculine plural. It's a masculine singular noun. But eved is masculine plural. Remember, it has that serayod? So it's wise servants of the king. The wise servants of your king will fear. Et, who will they fear? The Lord. Okay? So the wise servants of your king will fear the Lord. All right, last one. Yesharim, divrei, chanavi, chahu, bre, midivre, ha'ish harasha. Okay, well, I don't see a verb. Do you see a verb? So let's just get going here and see what we can find. Yisharim, this is a masculine plural word. We can say that. It comes from yashar, yashar, to be right or straight. Say be right. Divrei, divrei, this is masculine plural construct. So we already know this is going to be of. And this is from davar, words of, or matters of, or something like that. Chanavi is definite, masculine, singular, from the prophet, right? The prophet. Prophet. And then we get chahu, chahu. So this is definite, masculine, singular. Who is that? Right? So right now we have the words, the words of that prophet, the words of that prophet. And then with this adjective here, it looks like a predicative use of the adjective, right? It's preceding this phrase. The only masculine plural referent for it is right here. So then we would say, the words of that prophet are right. And then we get into the second part of the sentence. Me, mead. All right, here we've got the mem prefix with a hirex and then a dagesh. So this is the preposition mean. It means from. Divrei, this is words of, right? We just had that. Words of. Cha'ish, the man. Rasha, harasha, wicked or guilty. And here we have this is a definite article. Normally we've got patek and dagesh under in the first root consonant, but it's a resh, so it rejects the dagesh. We get compensatory lengthening. So this is the wicked man. So let's see. We have the words of that prophet are right from the words of the wicked man. Well, that doesn't make sense. Aha, this is a comparative, right? We have value, winner, from, loser. So the words of that prophet are more right, more straighter, or more correct, or something like that, than the words of the wicked man.